Hello everybody, my name is Solos Convoy, and today we are taking a look at Robot Toys RT01R Caesar. And here's that box. Not a great box, honestly. Not a huge fan. By the way, this is Robot Toys, but this is very clearly Metagate. Same exact box as their huge fire. No instructions video. Pretty lame box, might toss it. Back to the figure. So this is a burning Primal. It's I believe just a repaint, or I guess a new plastic mold of their Caesar, which is just a general Optimus Primal. Just taking a look at the figure. I have words for this. I mean, on one hand, it is absolutely amazing that we have like this fully translucent burning Primal in Legend scale, when Legends Beast Wars was like a myth just a bit ago. Nice die-cast knees, by the way. But there's something about the execution here that has bugged me, and it's that, like, for a figure that was so wonderfully painted on its first release, the mold really just feels like disserviced here, because there's so much detail they could have picked out. And like, if you just look at the shoulder design and like the stylization and the detailing, this isn't really that cartoon accurate to the original Beast Wars show. So I feel they could have like taken some liberties here and, you know, added some paint to this design, because it is stylized. So I don't think it had to be one-to-one. This is desperately asking for some paint. You know, a lot of it just desperately just needs a little bit more paint. This is like the first repaint with no paint. The only paint deco, I think, is just on these shoulders, the hands, and the head. There's almost nothing else. This is just a pin. It's not even like painted silver. It's just a pin. So there's almost zero color separation on this guy. It is just translucent red and opaque red plastic. And I do like how the joints are all solid plastic. And these are die-cast knees. And they're not like loose or anything because they're die-cast, which is quite awesome. So I'm going to go into articulation, and we'll talk more about... Oh, actually, before I do that, getting on the head sculpt, one of the big issues I have with this figure is that just... even when I blow my lighting out, like almost all the way, it is so hard to see his eyes. And I don't just mean on camera. I mean, it is very hard to see his eyes in person as well. His brow and his mask almost squish his face in, so you really need to like get on the perfect angle with really good lighting, almost too much lighting, to be honest, just to be able to see his eyes. It's a shame because it's a good head sculpt overall for Legends Primal, but it is just almost impossible to see those eyes, which is unfortunate. Let's get into articulation. So starting at the head, you have a ball jointed head that gets you a little bit up, a little bit down, a bit side to side, and all the way around, except it gets blocked at about 50 degrees. These are articulate, but I'm not going to do it because it feels really bad. He has a butterfly joint, which is awesome. This goes up to 90, nothing more, unfortunately. And then you have to bring the shoulder pad back up. The bicep swivel is so tight. So when I go to rotate the bicep swivel, the forearm swivels instead. There is a bicep swivel. It is just very, very, very solid. And this is not solid. So every time you try to move the bicep, this moves instead. Elbow is also very tight. Forearm swivel is loose. Elbow wrist swivel tighter than the forearm swivel. The forearm swivel is just way too loose for a joint that's not super necessary. I wish it locked in. Wrist swivel almost goes all the way around. Hands open, but man, they look ugly doing so. I don't know what they were thinking with this sculpt. It doesn't look good. I think they should have committed and done a two-parter here. I think they had space for a two-parter, honestly, if they just made the hands bigger. Because at this point, like, it's going to look ugly no matter what. At least make it function. This is kind of insane. The hands don't look good. They don't feel good either. I'll touch on that later. He has a waist swivel, which is nice. Fully uncompromised waist swivel. No ab crunch, but it's fine. He can kick up 90, kick back, gets you 90 out. So perfect universal ball joints. Thankfully, concealed thigh swivel, which is always fantastic to see, but you know, it's also tight. So knees are weird. you have a single jointed knee that goes past 90, but then you also have a double jointed knee that is immensely tighter, and actually has like a linkage gimmick, which is crazy because you almost never see that on third-party TFs, much less Legends class. And I don't know if it gets more than this, but I think it's really dope that they made a linkage gimmick on this toy, and the knees are die cast. I think it gets you about 160, so pretty good. But then putting this back is just a pain. The bottom knees are way too tight. The ankles are not great. You get about this much in, so think New Age Hound, but they also go out, so also think New Age Hound. They go up a considerable degree, and they don't really go down. He has a toe bend, and his back toes also bend, which is useless, but better for gorilla mode. The problem is the ankle ball joint is just too weak, and this is a hefty, substantial guy. Like, he feels heavy, not just because of the die cast. The die cast is not adding weight. There's no internal die cast either. He's just made of a thick, opaque plastic on the inside, and the translucent plastic isn't light either, and he's just packed to the brim with it, and he's not lightweight. So the ankles have a tendency to, like, you know, do all that, which is unfortunate. The toe tilts also give out. But overall, articulation is pretty good. Accessories, there's where this guy is like a beast, but I'm going to do gimmicks first. Let's start with the cool stuff. So this guy actually has gimmicks. If you pop up in his forearm panel, and then you can pull out his... this really needed like a hinge or something. There we go. Then you can pull out his double-barreled forearm blaster, which is very dope. It looks like that one Lego piece. Very fun gimmick. I just wish there was like a knob or something, or like a little like clip that you could just use to like pull it up instead of trying to scrape from underneath it. I don't want to damage the paint. His second gimmick, that's not the gimmick. So his chest untabs super easily. Another issue I have with this guy, it untabs way too easily and it does not lock in enough. But this part opens, and then you can pull out his shoulder cannons. And they're a bit diminutive, but the fact that this guy has like two separate gimmicks at this scale is pretty awesome. The only issue I have with these, again, is that, you know, anytime you try to pull them out, it just opens the entire figure's torso up. I don't know if this is gimmick or accessories, but that's the same section. He also has a swapping face gimmick, where you can like swap it in with these included faces. So here's like a neutral open mouth. And then this is Jesus, they're so small. Smile, right? It's a smile. And then this is like a serious face. They really just are a line, like embedded in the gold, in the plastic, and then painted over in gold. But I'm not gonna swap them because swapping them is a pain in the ass at this size. But I did take some photos with, I think, the smiling one in my gallery, so you can see it there. They don't look particularly great, and again, because of like the fact that the eyes are just, when you pull this off, you're going to see the eyes are just painted on a strip of blue plastic underneath his brow, and so I always am terrified of damaging the very small and honestly underpainted eyes, so I don't want to swap his face that much, which is why I gave him the mask. But yeah, it's the mask might actually be worst for blocking of the eyes, but I do like the mask, so unfortunately I'm stuck in this predicament. And then the rest of the accessories, it doesn't get much better. You have a mutant mask, which does not want to stay on. It looks pretty cool when it's on, and then it's not on. And it is also entirely unpainted. This, I feel like you had to paint this. Like seriously, this needed to be painted, man. I mean, it's not like Burning Primal never used a mutant mask. There was no reason for you to leave this completely blank. It loses like all the detail, and it is nice detail. So I'm really, really upset they didn't paint this, because it feels like a missed opportunity. The mace is also entirely unpainted. Again, like, these are accessories that have nothing to do with Burning Primal, so you can take liberties here and give it some paint. It's not like, you know. He can hold it in his hands, kind of, but none of his grips are actually like supported by anything, and there's no rail mechanism inside or like a clip mechanism inside. So he's just kind of holding them by pure friction alone, and look at that, opens again. Just not great. I mean, there's a lot of little things here that are hurting a really good figure underneath it. So, and then the swords are even worse. He has 2 of them, but I mean, just, yeah, I cannot get him to hold the swords. Maybe it's my copy, because I think someone else I asked who has the regular Primal, he can hold the swords fine in one hand, but can't hold them all in the other. For me, both hands just cannot hold the swords. You know, they're already not secured. You're just holding them in place with the sculpt, and they just fall out. So that's great. He can store the swords on his back, not where you think, which is weird because there's ample space for it. There are these little peg holes here, and oh my god, dude, his tolerances are not good. So one of the swords can fit in one of them, and the other can fit in the other. There's like no delineation to which is which. They're just tolerance differently. They can fit in here on his back. It's a pain to get them in, and they pop out really easily. On my copy, again, this is all my copy, so I know a lot of people have no issues with the regular release, which I think is a shame, because I kind of wish I bought the regular release. I think it's cheaper now too, because the price on this one went up for whatever reason on ShowZ. So you can store them like that. It doesn't look super great, but I always like weapon storage, so I applaud them for trying it. But yeah, I mean, before we do size comparisons, just, I don't know, man. There's like so much ambition here, and there's so many awesome things they try to do, and they just didn't execute on them. And I think this would have truly been a fantastic, perfect Legends release, especially for the price point, if they pulled it off. Here he is next to Legends class Flak, Core, Iguanas, probably modded a bit, Legacy, Generation 2 Trooper, and the only 3P figure I'm gonna have in this video. I gotta bring you back here. New Age Depth Charge. So he's actually not that big. He's pretty much eye to eye with a Core class figure. So he doesn't really feel like it feels like third-party Core, honestly, more than it feels like third-party Legends. So if that's something you're interested in, this guy is definitely for you. I'm gonna get him transformed into Gorilla Mode, and then we'll wrap it up. So here he is in alternate mode. There's Flak, there's him in 8 mode, and then there's Iguanas. He's basically the same size, you know, just bent over. Let's get these guys out of the way. Doing more size comparisons. And the missed potential really just continues. I mean, dude, why does the beast head have no paint, man? Like, come on. The eyes aren't painted. I mean, this guy has like an opening jaw with a whole row of teeth. There's no paint on anything. I get it. Like, I get the novelty of this release as being completely translucent, but I really do feel like some paint accents could have saved it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm missing the appeal. But, you know, I mean, it's very much a whatever 8 mode. It, again, loses a lot because it's a single Jolly Rancher. He can chest beat. I'm sorry, he can beat his chest. It's just a bit hard because, again, the butterfly is super loose, but he can indeed beat his chest. You know, yeah. It's just really hard to aim it because, again, this is super loose, and then the bicep joint is super tight, so, and then the butterflies are looser. Everything is looser than the bicep, so you have to like really just get a firm grip around it and use it because you have no leverage to use the bicep swivel otherwise. But yeah, I don't mind the 8 mode. It exists. It's a thing that happens. Oh, I didn't properly transform these. You can like tilt his like I don't even know what that's for, honestly. You can do whatever you want with the legs. I mean, it's a decent 8 mode, you know. I have no complaints. But yeah, final thoughts. You know, missed potential, I think, all around. There's like so much going on here. It's genuinely insane when you tell someone you have like a $25 core size Optimus Primal that maintains all the gimmicks, has a butterfly joint, is very posable, has linkage gimmicks at the knee, like a high-end mecha toy, swappable faces, etc., all for a price of $24.99. it sounds way too good to be true, and I think it may have been true for Caesar, which is why so many people loved Caesar, but for this repaint, it just all kind of falls to the wind. I don't know if the tolerances on my copy are way worse than everyone else's, or if the tolerances on this run are bad, because I haven't seen many people talk about getting this one. I wish he could hold his swords, I wish he could hold his mace, you know, hold it better. I wish the face swapping was not as painful. I wish they had picked out the eyes with more paint, or maybe like a different sculpt so they didn't like fade away into the helmet. I wish the mutant mask stayed on. I wish the box art didn't suck ass. I wish the ankles were tighter. But those would all have made this like an excellent figure. I think it's a real shame that this like didn't materialize, because I think this could have been one of those like, damn, like, you know, New Age and Magic Square need to like step it up, because these newcomers, you know, Mechanical Skull Studio, Robot Toys, etc., are like really giving them a run for their money. But this time around, maybe not. I paid $24.99 for this, and I still think it's a great pickup for the price. Shows he boosted the price up to $29.99, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. Which I would give me a bit more pause at that price, because this is just like a really good deluxe shrunken down. So, you know, put things in perspective, I think. But yeah, he's solid, he's hefty. I think he's a good pickup. His transformation is super simple, and there's not really like things you have to watch out for on this guy. He's a fun, he feels more toyetic than 3P Legends. He definitely feels like, again, third-party core, not necessarily third-party mini masterpiece Legends, which some people would argue is a really good thing, and I can't necessarily say I disagree. I just do wish this guy at least had the polish of, you know, a third-party release in regards to paint, because I think the original release does. So it's not like they're not capable. They just made deco choices here that I don't necessarily agree with. The novelty of Burning Primal is awesome, but I do think they did a bit of a disservice in the mold by just ignoring things that they didn't have to. Like the beast mode head, the ape head needed, it's begging for paint. The mutant mask is begging for paint. The mace is begging for paint. Even the swords, honestly, the handles and the blade should have been different colors. So yeah, you know, this is the first repaint with no paint, and it is kind of a shame. But overall, I think the mold is great. If you like Optimus Primal, definitely pick up the original, especially at $24.99. But maybe let's go back to the drawing board with what we decide to do for Burning Primals in the future, especially when it's not a toon accurate design. Alright guys, that's all I gotta say. Solus Convoy, have a great one. Peace out.